Welcome to Brevard News, your home for real news in Brevard County. My name is Kevin Jeffrey, your moderator. Joining us is our co-host, the Commish, District 1 County Commissioner Katie Delaney, and Brevard News investigative reporter Stell Bailey. And the Titusville police are under suspicion again, and this is really interesting. There was a report came out yesterday morning from Mayor Connors concerning a police shooting, and it looked like at the beginning of it that he was throwing the Titusville police under the bus, and then we see Lau come out with a video, and we don't understand what's going on here. Something doesn't add up. Mm-mm. And it's not shocking because this is Lau and his situation and how he manages. It's past time for this. What's going on? What did you find out happened?
Well, that it was so confusing. I mean, we're not the only ones confused. The community's completely confused. And then, so I was actually invited to go meet with the mother, who lost her son in this incident. And, the messaging there was also confusing to them. They were just like, we just want answers. And
so let's walk back. So there was a shooting Friday night. Mm-hmm. The question of what happened is up in the air. We don't really know what happened. Now, I have a story here about Florida Today. And they talked about the fact that police says that this young man, Charles, was armed with a gun, but did not say whether Charles fired any shots, that he displayed his weapon at any point or had it with him legally. It was not known how many times Charles was shot in the incident, and no officers were injured in the incident. So do we know anything?
No, they just keep saying it's under FDLE investigation. All I know is what eyewitnesses are saying, and just nothing's adding up. There is so much confusion surrounding this case. Did he have a gun? Did he not have a gun? Did he have a vape? Did he not have a vape? Where was he, inside the house? Was he outside the house? I mean, what the eyewitnesses are saying is, and even in this article, they mention that they say the mother has gotten contradictory information from the police and witnesses, and friends and family have said, 1 minute they said, well, we'll be able to give you answers in 2 weeks. And then they're like, well, no, it's going to be 6 weeks. And right now, her biggest thing is she just wants to be able to see her son and identify him and get some closure.
And so she was not allowed, and this is the issue, she was not allowed by TPD?
TPD in the hospital that
to
they were
see
at.
Her son after he passed away.
Correct.
So why did they stop her from seeing him?
That's a good question. They were asking me, do you know why they would do that? And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe because it's under an investigation. Maybe they need to do an autopsy. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Is this standard procedure?
We don't know. We need those answers because she's not the only one. There were other people that started coming to this, this big gathering that they had invited me to. And there were other mothers that have dealt with very similar, said, I never got to see my child. They told me that I never got to see my child till this day. I did not have that closure. I did not have that opportunity to go in there and just imagine being a parent and not being able to just feel your child's face or hold their hand and they're already gone from this earth, and not being able to say goodbye. That's going to be hard in a grieving process.
So this is the sixth. So according to the statistics, police scorecard, this is the sixth police shooting by the city of Titusville in the last 11 years, I think it's, if I'm accurate.
Since 2013.
2013. Mm-hmm. So you had 3 shootings then, and that put Titusville in the 92 percentile of cities.
Higher rate than 92% of U.S. police departments.
And so now you add these other 3 shootings onto that, and you have a problem here in Titusville. Something's not right. And we talked about it of just a couple of weeks ago with the Lowry case. And the judge said that there was a training issue here, right, with the Titusville police. Now, we don't know what's going on here. Admittedly, we'll wait and see what the information is about what actually happened. But really, we don't know if the guy was actually in the wrong, if the police was in the wrong. We don't really know any of that information as we stand right now, right?
Right. We don't have any detailed documents from the investigation, the FDLE. I think it's really smart to wait until all the information comes out.
But what we do know is for a city of 50,000 people, this is an extraordinary amount of people who have been shot and killed by the police department. and that it's actually higher than the norm for a city this size.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes, correct.
According to stats.
Yes, according to stats, that's correct. And and the three that happened have happened in the last 3 years. So you had one where the attorney Crump came in and he took on that case, and then they released the results of that in December, and then you had this other shooting in December of the what was a 40-year-old Titusville resident James Lowry. And then this happened this past weekend.
Now, most of this has happened under Lau's leadership.
Yes.
I think he started, I don't remember the year, he's been here 10 years, right?
Yeah, he's actually been a part of the police department since the early 90s.
So he's been around for a while, but he's been the police chief, I think, for the last 10 years.
Yes.
So a lot of this has happened under his leadership.
Yes.
And so there's a problem here with, and you consistently see it with Lau. I mean, there's been problems, and we've researched this, and a lot of this information will be coming out, that there is a lot of problems under his leadership, and you wonder if this is a consistency in there. We're not trying to say that they were wrong, the police was wrong, and we don't know what happened. But we do know that with Lau, there has been a consistent problem in his leadership in the city of Titusville. And we'll see what happens when the facts come out. Hopefully we can get some body cam information, and we'll actually be able to see what happened in this particular incident. But there are a lot of questions about Chief Lau, and there's been questions about whether he should have resigned a long time ago. And hopefully that's going to be forthcoming, because, I mean, there are some questions about where the department is, this withstanding. Would that be correct?
Yes. I think there's just a lot more information that needs to come out, and there's nothing we can really speak on as far as the details. I do. I'm heartbroken for the mother and the family. Any loss, regardless of what it is hard.
So we'll keep up on this case, and we're going to give you more information about it as the days go by. So the firefighters this week had a rally, and it was a whopper of a rally. And kudos to you, Katie, and you, and being involved in that and helping to spearhead that. And do you think that you were able to get anything accomplished with the rally?
This rally, what it was meant for, when the union said that they wanted to get people together, when my workshop got canceled, this was the response to that. The community, the firefighters, everybody was upset because people are very aware of what's going on in the fire department now, and they want a voice. They want to participate in the conversation. And when that got taken from them, this is what the result was. Almost 200 people showed up to this rally. The streets were lined with community members, elected officials, firefighters, firefighter families, from the courthouse all the way down to the 7-Eleven. And I mean, it was incredible to see the community come together and show support for our fire department.
And what happened to your fellow commissioners? Where were they at?
Well, I know one of them was going through the fire stations, giving what should have been a confidential document to the firefighters in their stations.
And that really speaks to the kind of person she is. That you would do that is really bad. I mean, how do you still... Who does this?
I mean, she was either completely clueless, or it was... I don't know who does this. It's instead of showing up to a rally.
What are you trying to do? What is the point? What is she trying to do?
It's almost like she was trying to get ahead of something and get the word out. And there's a lot of talk at the fire stations that it was an attempt to cause division and confusion and.
This from a woman who campaigned, did she not?
Right. On
helping the firefighters.
Right, and all it did really was make the firefighters band together stronger, because, and I don't know if she just isn't aware of what the comps are out there, or what the issue is with that, but our people are so underpaid. They are so underpaid, and it is to a point that it's just it goes across party lines. It goes across a left and right issue. It's just the fact that our people are so undervalued here in Brevard County from the bureaucracy that we have to step in and do something.
And it was good to see other elected officials like Blinkley and also Cullen and some others that were there. Susan, that was good to see, because now others are beginning to see this is not a partisan issue.
Absolutely.
It's a security issue. It's a service issue.
Right.
Right. And so if we do not have the firefighters that have experience and training, this is not going to go well for people in Brevard County. And I don't think that most of the people in Brevard County understands where we're at on it. Do you think that they understand how perilous this situation is?
I think people are starting to understand. I mean, we have 79 vacancies right now in Brevard County. So that is a really dangerous thing. That's about 20% of our workforce. And if, God forbid, we had an issue with, wildfires or something, which this time of year, that's something to be nervous about, especially since we haven't had much rain. And not just that, God forbid a catastrophic event happened and we don't have enough emergency services to show up and, do what needs to be done. And fortunately, the people we do have, they're incredible. So they would still, serve the public. But, at this point, our people are so overworked.
They're stretched beyond measure. I mean, you wouldn't want someone to come. They're putting in together 48-hour shifts in so many cases.
Yeah.
So, and some people say that, hey, the county commissioners are not supposed to be involved. And I say that's nonsense, right? They were the ones elected to serve the people, not staff.
Correct.
Right? Not the city manager. You elected the county commissioners.
Right.
How is it that they shouldn't be involved? All of them should have been out there with you, right?
I think so. It would have been nice for the firefighters to feel that support from everybody.
So what does that say? And I know you may not be able to say this, but Stell can say it. What does it say about these county commissioners who didn't show up outside?
They're just absent. They're nowhere to be found. They don't care. I mean, I tried to go up and knock on Feltner's door. We rang his doorbell. We went up there. There was 3 of us up there.
Was he hiding under the desk? Where was he at?
Oh no. I didn't answer the door. I wanted to ask,
no staff answered the door?
I wanted to ask, why aren't you guys downstairs? Like, at the bare minimum, that is the bare minimum you could have done, is just gone in there and said, hey, we're listening, we care. It wasn't just firefighters that showed up. And I think that's really important to point out, because it was their families, but it was also, there were citizens that were approaching me saying, I want to talk about this. This is bothering me.
Right? Well, and it should. And so to the county commissioners, you were elected to serve the people. And this is what the problem is. People are getting tired of it. They're tired of you acting like cowards. Stand up, act like people who were elected, who actually took an oath. You took an oath to serve the people. What are you doing? This is horrible, and it's going to be bad for Brevard County if this continues. And it's going to be right on your head. You allow this to go on, and it continues. Now, fire season is coming up, and I pray to God that nothing happens here, because it's going to be on your neck, just like it was the mayor of Los Angeles, and also the same way that it was with Governor Newsom. I mean, the problem is going to lie. It's going to come right back to you. And I hope to God that nothing happens. But this is not good, right?
One of the things that I said at the rally is, while we may not have made this mess, we signed up to fix it. And so that's why I've been, I won't let this go, because it has to be fixed. The 2 most important functions of government is public safety and infrastructure. Those 2 things we have got to get a grip on.
And I think that people need to put pressure on their leaders, their commissioners.
No matter what district you're in, right?
Yes.
No matter what district you're in. It doesn't have to be District 1, right?
No, right. You can email all the commissioners and even the county manager who's been there for a long time. Email them and, express to them how important this is to you, because the more emails that they get, the better. They need to know that you're paying attention, that you care, and putting it in writing. You put it in the public record forever. It's a government public record. Make your voice a public record.
So what is the email address where people can actually write in?
So they can find the email addresses right here.
And that brings us to our commission report with Katie Delaney. And so we have the Speak Up Brevard workshop coming up for another vote. And how many is this?
I think this is number 4.
This is number 4. No, so what is the problem with why is this not passing?
It's really frustrating because this actually was Tom Goodson's idea last year. And
to have the workshop.
Correct. And so, Commissioner Atkinson, she campaigned on, listening to the public and all of that. I campaigned heavily on that. We all campaign on, bringing in the public to the government. And the Speak Up Brevard program is just so unique. And
it doesn't get any better than citizen involvement with this, right?
Exactly. And so, while I understand it'll take some time, it'll be a couple hours workshop, and I get it that it's exhausting.
Yeah, but they will have to intermingle with the peasantry. And they have to actually come in contact with the people. That could be frightening.
I know. There are some really good ideas, though. There's everything from different things with the animal services to low impact development to
so what would the workshop bring out in that regard?
So basically it'll allow the people to come forward with their ideas more, because when you just see it on a piece of paper, sometimes you don't always get the whole idea of what the person is bringing
so it
forward.
allows them to be able to articulate what they were thinking.
Absolutely.
Right?
And so
if I were bringing up me lowering the dais,
right,
I can bring a dais that's really low.
Exactly.
Right.
Below the people.
Below the people. Okay.
And so that was my vision for this, was to breathe more life into this program so that people really felt like they were heard and listened to. And not saying that we're going to adopt every single idea, but at least people feel like, okay, I gave this my shot and they actually listened, and here were the reasons why they said no, but at least it was a conversation. It wasn't just
give us a little insight.
Up or down vote.
What happens? So people are saying politicians, when they get into office, something happens behind the scenes that we're not seeing. That people change who they are. Like Kim Atkinson was for the firefighters. How does it? You get in office and all of a sudden you change? Is there some kind of truth serum they give you, or a lie serum? What's going on? Are we missing something behind the scenes?
Honestly, you have a lot of sides pulling at you. Because, while we have really great staff, our staff is, of course people have their own agenda or their own opinions on certain things, on how things should go. And then you have the people and you have their opinions and how they think things should go. And so as a politician, and I'm not, complaining about this at all, but you're kind of stuck in the middle of the bureaucracy and the people. And so it's finding that balance to listen to the staff and their expertise, but also balancing that with what the public wants. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, is to figure out a way to get the government to work for the people.
Well, listening to the staff is kind of like listening to a spoiled kid, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of what I envision it. And, you have the parent who the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Sometimes.
So is that what's
Sometimes.
happening?
Honestly, I will say for our staff, at least in my experience so far, which is minimal, a lot of their decisions are commission driven. And so there are some times where I get pushback, but a lot of times they come to me and say, Commissioner, what do you want here? This is your district. Mm-hmm. And so I get to make those decisions. And the way that I do it is, whatever the case may be, I go into that community and I say to the people in that community, I say, these are what the options are. What do you guys want? Mm-hmm. Or do you have a different idea that we could bring forward? And that's how I proceed within my district. But I don't know if that's how every commissioner does it.
So, I mean, what a novel idea, though, but to allow the people to actually have a say in the government that actually belongs to them.
Right.
The fire assessment discussion, and that's coming up.
Yes. So the fire assessment is a lengthy process, and there are certain steps by law that have to be taken. So basically, this first step is we need to ask for and vote on asking the staff for a 7-year plan. And then from there, once we get that information about what it could cost, what we need and what that will cost, we need to ask for and vote on what's called a it's basically a letter that says we won't go higher than X%. And that doesn't mean that we'll go to that percentage. It just means that we can't ask for more than that percentage from the people. And so when we're talking about the firefighters, it's a multi-pronged system that I'm going for. We need to address the impact fees. We need to, because the impact fees, even though it's not going to fund the entire thing, the developers and the people moving into Brevard County need to participate in the growth, paying for the growth. So that's
and some of
part
those
one.
impact fees from some of the companies moving in are pretty hefty.
Absolutely. I mean, we've missed out on millions and millions of dollars because our impact fees haven't been updated in over 30 years. So that's the first thing. Another
So in the place of that, before you leave, so
Sure.
the impact fees, it's not that you're trying to tax the companies, but you're saying that they are having an impact on
Absolutely.
the county,
Right.
and so if they don't pay it, then the taxpayers are paying
Absolutely.
it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, that's what's been happening. These developers are coming in and they're getting basically a free ride, and it's the best deal in Florida, pretty much. And so we have to make those more. We have to bring them up to the market because we are well below. So the impact fees, then the fire assessment. We have to. We'll probably have to adjust it a little bit. And then there's the 1998 referendum, the MSTU. That was passed by the people in 1998 for a 0.6 something millage. I don't remember the whole decimal, but it was about 0.6. And Brevard County, we've only been assessing 0.4. And so we're losing out on money there that the people have already approved for us to collect.
And that's for the fire assessment?
That's for the fire MSTU.
Okay.
And then the last and honestly the most important part of all of this is I am going through the budget line by line, project by project, seeing exactly where all of our money is going, because we have got to stop this out of control spending. And I keep bringing this up, but we have a shower that was in Station 22 that we just spent $29,000 on. That, by the way, it
Wow.
leaks. And
So you're having to pay more money to be able to get that fixed, right?
And then that should have been a $5,000 to $7,000 shower that we spent $29,000 on.
Sounds like the federal government.
Correct. And additionally, there was a roof on one of the fire stations that the vendors of record for Brevard County were going to try to charge us $187,000. And luckily, there was a general contractor who is also a firefighter that works for Brevard County, and he was like, I know people who can do it for far less than that.
Wow.
$53,000.
Wow.
So why?
So has this happened a lot? Do you know?
I'm assuming, because the only
Yeah.
reason why we are going with the $53,000 roof rather than the $187,000 roof is because, one, luckily our fire chief, really pushed to not overspend. And then secondly, they know that now I'm looking. And so they knew that that they have to go out for RFP.
So it's not going to be this easy.
Right. And frankly, I want the contracts to start coming before the board for our approval, because that's what happens in the school board. So why doesn't the county commission operate that way? I want to see where these contracts are coming in, because frankly, I don't trust that we are getting the best deal, because those two projects alone. And so that's one of the things
It's not
that
a
I'm
lot
going
of
to be working on.
backslapping going on there, is it?
I don't know, but it's very frustrating that our money has been wasted, I'm guessing, for a very long time.
So I mean, you see this, and this is the case where you say, and a lot of people have a problem with, again, government running amok, where it just gets too big, and you can't keep control of it.
The biggest thing that is frustrating to me is, how did that get past people? No one looked up and said, $29,000? That sounds like a lot for a little shower.
Do you think that they do this in their own home?
Probably not. I would hope not.
They're not budgeting. They're not paying $29,000 for a shower in their own home.
Right.
Well, maybe we should make people, when they run for office, maybe take some kind of.
Well, it wasn't the elected officials in this case. It was the staff. I mean, the procurement process. I don't understand how there were not checks and balances that were not put in place, that nobody was like, that seems a little excessive.
Very excessive.
Right.
And so you think that that's going to start coming before the board?
If I have anything to say about it,
okay.
Yes.
Great. All right, Katie Delaney, the commish. Thanks for that report. And that brings us to our kudos of the week, and we have quite a few on tap. We have, for the firefighter rally, Dana Blinkley, Lisa Cullen, Matt Susan, Megan Wright, Tim Thomas. You guys all stand out for your support of the firefighters. It's the first time that I've seen that you had other government officials who came out to rally and support and to say these guys need to be paid. And kudos to you for doing that. And I thought that it was an extraordinary thing that you came out for the firefighters. And also for the family of the firefighters, kudos to you. You've gone through a lot. You support these guys. Many of them are overworking. They're working 24, 48-hour shifts. And you're there keeping the house together, working hard, going through the pains of all of the budgeting that you have to do. Kudos to you that you've maintained and you've stayed in Brevard County, and hopefully you're going to be handsomely rewarded. And then also for our own Katie Delaney, kudos to her. What a leader. This is what leadership looks like. And so you don't have a lot of leaders, and I think that we've forgotten what leadership looks like. I'm about what I remember what President George Bush said, and it was kind of comical when he said it at the time. Leaders do one thing: they lead, and Katie leads, and that's what we need. We need leaders, and leadership take a lot of conviction, and it takes the fact that you're concerned about what's right. And we want to give Katie the kudos for being a great leader, and it really showed this week. The country waited 2 weeks ago to see if Punxsutawney Phil would see his shadow, possibly forecasting 6 more weeks of winter. Brevard County waited this week to see if we would see the shadow of any other county commissioner outside of Katie Delaney available to come and speak on the issue concerning the firefighters. The appearance of their shadow would have gone a long ways to forecast a bright resolution to the firefighter debacle that the majority of the commissioners have abdicated. The only sign of any other commissioner, aside from Delaney, was the shameless propaganda pushed by Kim Atkinson, a seeming shield for the Brevard good old boys, who released the negotiation information, and we don't know if this is illegal. It looks like it might be illegal, at the very least unethical. Once again, your so-called representatives showed themselves for who they are: spineless leaders who are bought and paid for by people who do not have we the people's interests at heart. What this proves is that we need more people like Katie in office, people who have the moral fortitude to do what's right. This is missing today from every level of government. On a positive note, we did have constitutional officers Dana Blinkley and Lisa Cullen voice their support for the firefighters, as did the school board members Megan Wright and Matt Susan, as well as former West Melbourne Councilman John Dittmer, and also former Melbourne Councilman Tim Thomas. And so they came out and they voiced their support for the firefighters. Kudos to you, as we've said. Are there any other principled people who are not sold out to special interests? Are there? The people are waiting to see the shadows of those who have spines as to whether you will stand up and be accounted for. Otherwise, we're going to think there's a lot of spine surgery going on in Brevard County, because it doesn't look like many people have spines. And that's my 2 cents. And our quote of the week comes from Plato out of his writings on the Republic. And he says this, and man, it's really spot on. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior to yourself. Sounds familiar? We're being ruled by inferior people, and they think that they are the ones that are superior. How about that?